This is my dog's penis. And then I've also had his balls removed. Oh, shame. Give me back my balls. You can't have them. I took them away. But I have a full vagina. Hello. Today we're going to talk about the invention of Coca-Cola, America's favorite soft drink. So, like, in the 1800s, John Pemberton was trying to make patent medicines. Basically, they were fake medicines, and most of them were just like herbal, who's-y what's, who even cares. He was just trying to make anything that would sell. He was like, I want to make a fake medicine that made women think that they'll never be nervous or have farts, and make men think that they can be smarter. So he decided to use a new ingredient, coca. Coca is from a plant. The South Americans would chew it and be like, we had so much energy and we weren't even hungry and we hiked the whole Andes. But really, they were just on cocaine. John Pemberton was like, oh, I should put this into my new potion that I'm making. And basically, he copied someone else's recipe called like Vin Mariani. He was like, well, I have wine. I put coca in there, a little of this cola in. The cola nut released a little bit of caffeine. And he basically was like, what I give you is a wine with cocaine and caffeine. Then people in Atlanta were like, no, nobody can sell alcohol because of temperance. He was like, okay, well, fine, I'll just make a temperance beverage. He went back into his laboratory and he decided to just put the coca and the cola together, but they were super bitter without the wine. So he added a ton of sugar and then he made it into like a drink. You know, he thought, oh, well, people will love this. It wasn't like he was like, I made a soda, because nobody even had that yet. He had a friend named Frank Robinson who was like, okay, well, I'll help you to sell your medicine soda drink thingy. First of all, you should change the K in the cola to a C and just call it what it is, Coca-Cola, and the two C's will look really nice next to each other. And who wouldn't love that? So they would just advertise Coca-Cola as a medicine for your brain. They would say it's invigorating and stimulating and healthy for your nervous system using the exotic extract of the coca and cola nut to make you super alive and ready to face your day. The first year, he only sold 25 gallons.
25,000 or 25?
25 gallons.
Okay.
In a year. He gave it to pharmacies. They had like soda fountains and fun things, and people did like it a lot. Oh, this is a great drink. They thought that it made them like invigorated and aware. People are basically drinking little cocaine soda. Me. I need more. I wish I was alive then to drink the Coca-Cola. God, I miss so much from not being in the olden times. The next year, he sold 200 gallons a month? That's so much more. 12 months. Reggie, stop it. 12. Reggie, goddammit. Hold on. Okay, I got him. 12 months out of the year. We sold 2,000 gallons a month. No, yes? God damn it. He's on his deathbed dying of stomach cancer. And he's like, out of all of the patent medicines that I've tried to make, I finally made a successful patent medicine. But what he never knew was that he actually made the most successful drink that humans will ever drink, ever. God, he was so successful and he doesn't know, and he'll never know, ever. They still use coca leaves in modern day Coca-Cola. So do the math on that one. Even if they don't have cocaine in them, they still use the leaves, and they took the cocaine out and putting it somewhere else.
So how would you describe a show?
I my pants in the rug section of IKEA. So I had to like go through the other parts of IKEA with my pants, but I also was like concerned about buying things for my home, so I still did. I went to the bathroom, total pro, like cleaned my butt, and the second I got back in line, like with other people, I was like, I my pants. I had the flu and I sneezed. Show. Hi. Oh boy, I love to be happy. Why else am I here? I'm Jenny Slate, and today we are going to talk about the Cherry Sisters, the worst act on vaudeville. Ever. Ever. The very worst. Our story begins in the 1890s. The Cherry Sisters were living on a farm in Iowa that had been left to them. Their names were Ella, Elizabeth, Effie, Addie, and Jessie. They had a brother, Nathan, and he just pieced out. He was like, actually, definitely not. I'm not like even doing this. And all the sisters were like, boo! What the hell? Or heck, actually, because they were very prim. They were like, our farm's gonna fail. We truly don't get how to do this, and we don't have enough money to operate the farm. Let's just try to get money from that, buy for that. Am I right? And they were all like, yeah, right. Let's put on a show. So they like rented out a theater. These sisters were just like, we're putting on a play. The play is going to consist of a lot of segments that are boring and also will make you feel nervous about what you're doing in your life. So it would be like, there's a young lady just like free in the world, how dangerous. And then a Don Juan comes out and he's like, ugh, I want you for sex, you know? And then a gypsy woman would come out and she'd be like, don't do it, don't, because he's gonna take your morality. And like, that was like the whole thing. And it was like baffling to everyone. They were like, I can't believe these ladies showed up and like even are here and like did this. After they were done, they were so shocked because they were like, this is an ass load of money. They made $250. So the Cherry Sisters, they were like, we should take this on the road, even though it was really, really, really bad. So they went on the road all across Iowa. They did a show in Cedar Rapids. One of their songs was called Corn Juice. Corn juice! Let me tell you about it. It's just like, what are you talking about? You definitely can't make juice out of corn. Like, I've had it.
Yeah.
There's no juice in there. 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're lost in your corner, we'll find juice. Corn after juice. Beautiful. Everyone's like, you suck. So the next day, the newspaper was like, this is a bad show. These ladies truly don't know what's up. You probably shouldn't see this show unless you want to see it because it's so very bad that it's like kind of confusing all of us. And they marched right down to the Cedar Rapids Gazette. And they were like, how dare you say this? And the Cedar Rapids Gazette was like, what? You're like incredulous? You can't like understand why we said this? And they're like, you know what? We're gonna sue you for libel. And the newspaper is like, that's actually hilarious. But if you want to sue us, you're gonna have to sue us during your show. And so they did. They got a real judge to sit there, being like, ooh, like order, order. I'll be the judge of how bad they are, plus newspaper, you telling the truth. And at the end, the editor of the newspaper was found guilty and sentenced to marry one of the 5 sisters.
Off.
Yeah. So sad. So after this, they toured all the time. It was kind of the first, like, it's so bad it's good situation. Groups of people were like, the Cherry Sisters are coming to town. Let's get together, all the people that we know and like, buy a shitload of vegetables and find a lot of cans so that we can throw them at them. And this was a sketch that they did. They sat in a bathtub and they were like, don't get horny, be careful, because this is like arms. But you have to be careful, because if you show your forearm to someone, their penis could go inside of you.
And you die.
And then you'll die of being cool. People would be like, you suck. So after the sisters had really been on the scene for a while, just stinking it up consistently, this man named Oscar Hammerstein, he had a theater and he was like, well, I've tried all the best shit there. Maybe I'll try the worst. So he got in touch with the Cherry Sisters and he's like, listen, we'll bring you to New York. You can do whatever you want. We'll pay you $100 a week. 4 of them were like, yep, okay, yes. And then like the 5th one was like, no. She stayed there like whatever, brushing the pigs or whatever you do on a farm. And they went to New York and everyone was like, you're the worst. You're horrible. What a weird thing. And they sold out. 10 weeks, sold out show. And they made a lot of money. And then, you know, they went home and then they died in obscurity. But that's what we think. That's not what they thought. And honestly, what they thought is kind of all that matters. Don't you think?
Aw, that was nice.
Thanks, Derek.
That was really nice.
Well, I'm an American woman and I love corn juice. Talk about outer space. Hello, I'm Jenny Slate, and today we're going to talk about Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson and their beautiful cosmic discovery. This is my dog's penis. And then I've also had his balls removed. Oh, shame. Give me back my balls. You can't have them. I took them away. But I have a full vagina. In 1960, Bell Labs made this like giant listening device for NASA. But then by the time they were ready to use it, a better thing had been built. So then it was just like by itself, all by itself in New Jersey, a lonely horn. But 2 scientists, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, they were like, oh, whoa, hold on. If no one's using that, could we use it? They were like, come on down to the horn. So they get to the horn, they're like, we are beautiful scientists with lovely minds, and we want to listen to the sounds between the stars. Boink, they're like, let's go, babe, let's listen up. Oh God, I love thinking of them calling each other babe. So they listen, and the sound is 100 times louder than any sound they expected to hear. It's like, the universe is like, find out about me. So they're like, what is this darn sound? It's coming from everywhere in the sky at once. Everywhere. And then they're like, no, there's no way a sound could come from everywhere at once. So we have to eliminate all the other sounds that might be like interfering. So first they thought maybe someone doesn't care about science. They're like, it must be coming from, you know, New York, urban interference. You know, New York is a city with buildings and lights and people and subway and blah, blah, blah. So they're like, point it there. Pointed the horn at New York City. No, that's not what we're hearing. Forget about you, New York. Maybe it's coming from a military base nearby. And then they just like pointed at the military bases, but they didn't hear that noise coming from there. No, it isn't. So then they're like, okay, next. Maybe it's from the sun. They pointed at the sun, and the sun was like, I'm just the sun. I don't give a shit. They're like, it's not the sun. What the funk is this, man? And then they're like, we should check our device. What if there's something inside of this thing, like, you know, mold or a skeleton of a hobo that crawled in there to get shelter or whatever. They look inside the horn, guess what? This f***ing thing is filled with pigeons. Houston, we do have a problem, and it's pigeons. Arno is like, you do it, Robert. You f***ing kill them. Robert's like, I don't want to do it. You do it. Guess what they did? They shot them with a gun. A shotgun. And then they were like, well, that'll do it. After they wiped the bird blood off of their hands. They're both like, R.I.P. these pigeons. Let's do this. Boink. They start to listen. They're like, oh, They hear it again. What the hunk is this right now? They don't have the answer. They don't know what to do. They listen through the horn for years. They're going through their papers. I can't get it. There's nothing here. This one's boring. This is in another language. Just being like, we're never gonna figure this out. Finally, they find a study done by a scientist whose name is Dickey. He had this crackpot theory that the universe, instead of being infinite, actually started at some point. Dickey's like 13.8 billion years ago, AKA old as check your watch. I think the universe started with like a crazy explosion, AKA the Big Bang, but they had no way to prove it. Then these two guys from New Jersey who've been listening to this pigeon horn call him up. They're like, we hear this thing. It's like, have you ever heard of that before? He's like, oh my God, that's it. This is what we've been studying. Cosmic microwave. What is that word? What is the word? We know it. What is it? Cosmic microwave background radiation. Okay? It's the sound of microwaves from the Big Bang. And they're like, yeah, it's it. We got it. This is basically the sound of the Big Bang. They wanted to try to find anything, but what they found was the sound of everything. I had to unfollow NASA on Instagram because it made me too crazy. It would just be like, this is a picture of a f***ing black hole. And I was like, ah! Okay, let me tell you this. Penzias and Wilson get the Nobel Prize for Physics. Everyone f***ing flips out and they were like, yes, the Big Bang is real. It happened. It's real. You guys did it. Penzias and the other guy. I just keep thinking of Winslow, but I know that that's from Family Matters.
Carl.
Carl Winslow discovered the Big Bang. Derek, what this is right here, this is the sound of the echo of the universe being created. Suck on that for a second. See how you like it.
Just for a second.
The universe is like, just suck on it for a second. And the f***ing universe is suck on it for a second.